I'm going to start out with State Representative Alan Peake. He is a man who fought hard for our Georgia Sports Hall of Fame and our Georgia Music Hall of Fame. And he is a man who boldly speaks out for the Tea Parties, and somebody who I appreciate. He's a small business owner as well. And they know more than anybody. They create the jobs in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for State Representative Alan Peake.
Hello, Macon, Georgia. Well, I got some good news today and some bad news. Good news is today I had to write a big old check to the IRS. Now that's good news, because that means a lot of y'all been eating at my Cheddars and Captain D's. Now thank you very much. Bad news is that the tax payment is going directly to fund the Barack Obama socialism spending spree. In 1944, in his book, The Road to Serfdom, F.A. Hyatt warned us of what's called creeping socialism, an expression used in modern times to describe America's so-called drift towards a socialistic society and the dangers of state control over the means of production. And 4 years later, a socialist presidential candidate by the name of Norman Thomas was quoted in an interview as saying, "The American people will never knowingly adopt socialism, but under the name of liberalism, they will adopt every fragment of the socialist program until one day America will be a socialist nation without ever knowing how it happened." 61 years later, the words of these two young men ring loudly in our ears as we examine the principles and policies of the administration of Barack Obama. From his philosophy of spreading the wealth around, to government-run health care, to control of Wall Street and General Motors, President Obama is leading our country down a dark and dangerous path towards socialism. Remember when Barack Obama told Joe the plumber, when you spread the wealth around, it's good for everybody? This wasn't an offhand remark, but rather a core principle that President Obama truly believes, and nowhere is that more evident than in his first budget. With trillions of dollars in new entitlements, new taxes, and new debt, Obama's first budget is nothing if not a giant step down the dark path of socialism. Obama is taking from those he believes have worked too hard, achieved too much, been too successful, and is now spreading the wealth around. In just one budget, in office less than 6 months, President Obama has taken the hallmark of socialism, class warfare, and made it the newest government-backed entitlement program. But you know what? It doesn't stop there. This budget and its predecessor, the stimulus package, don't just spread the wealth around. They lay the groundwork for phase 2 of creeping socialism, and that's government-run health care. Hidden in both spending bills are placeholders for the realization of an idea we once called Hillary Care. By expanding S-CHIP, Medicaid, and other government subsidies for health care, President Obama is chipping away at private insurance and personal choice and creating a new class of middle-income entitlement programs. To some, it may not be so bad for the government to tax the rich or provide health care for every citizen, but Barack Obama doesn't stop there. From control of the banks to control of the auto manufacturers, Obama is slowly seizing control of private industry. Let's take a look at the TARP funds real quick. Meant to be a temporary lifeline to ailing financial institutions, the Obama administration is now using the TARP funds to maintain control over our nation's banks. I'm not here to debate the merits of this program, but we cannot ignore the blatant manipulation of the program by the new administration and their attempts to control the financial sector. The more banks can be forced to accept TARP funds, the more regulations they'll be forced to accept, and the more control Barack Obama will have. Socialism, pure and simple. And most recently, I never thought that I would see the day that a United States president would fire the executive of a private company. My outrage isn't about whether Rick Wagner, the head of GM, deserved his fate. This is about the founding principles of our country. This is about the independence of free enterprise and capitalism. If socialism is defined as a political theory advocating state ownership of industry, then Barack Obama is no doubt the first socialist president of the United States. I wanted to conclude my remarks today with some solutions. New ideas about what we need to turn this ship around and put America on a course of prosperity again. But I don't think we need new ideas so much as we need to embrace old ideas. Yeah. The ideas of our founding fathers and some of our nation's greatest leaders.
Yeah.
So I want to leave you with the thoughts of a Presbyterian clergyman from the year 1916. These words have also been attributed to Abraham Lincoln, but no matter who said them, these words should light our way now more than ever. He wrote, "You cannot bring prosperity by discouraging thrift. You cannot strengthen the weak by weakening the strong.
Amen.
You cannot help the wage earner by pulling down the wage payer.
Amen.
You cannot further the brotherhood of man by encouraging class hatred.
Amen.
You cannot help the poor by destroying the rich.
Amen.
You cannot stay out of trouble by spending more than you earn.
Amen.
You cannot build character and courage by taking away man's initiative and independence.
Amen.
You cannot help men permanently by doing for them what they could and should do for themselves. While words can inspire and unite us, it will be our actions that lead to real change. So I want to leave you all with a challenge to act. Educate your friends, your family, your neighbors, and your coworkers. Stay involved and stay engaged. Call your senators and congressmen and let them know that we will not stand by and quietly allow our country to become the next failed experiment in socialism. And with the 2010 elections just around the corner, get out there and work. And to elect leaders who share our values of lower taxes, less government intervention of our lives, and greater personal responsibility. Thank you, and God bless our great country.